what I want to touch upon now, and I think, you know, we said before, is loneliness. This is going to be a very big thing. I'm going to try and pick my words carefully, 'cause I've been trying to think about the right person and the right time to speak about this. I think the time's now. So we'll see how we get along with this one. I'll just say, I think loneliness is such a big issue in this current generation. I mean, I'll bring it to you now. What have you seen from loneliness with people? You know, a lot of people just jump in relationships. You got a girl 2 months here, another 3 months here. Very adding up the relationships. Not as a bad thing, but it's very temporary. It's very... I just feel like they're trying to fill a void.
100%. I feel like a lot of people end up being quite lonely, or they haven't forced themselves into situationships that they want to be in, or relationships, just because
to have someone there.
Got to like know themselves. Like
facts, man. Facts. Tell me what.
You
yeah.
need to like. I think especially when you hop out kind of in and out of relationship stuff, you need to take time to kind of like
focus.
Get to know you. What do you like? What drives you? What motivates you? What's kind of the thing that kind of will get you out of bed in the morning? Because a lot of the things I think in this world where it's kind of like a lot of things, like it's so much better to get things that are kind of instant rather than having to kind of think about it. But someone like me, I'll kind of give kind of my example on it.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Like,
tell me your
obviously, I've never really kind of like properly, and I'll probably get into that later, but I've probably never really properly been in like relationships. So like, I've always kind of been single. So there's been times where like all my boys are like kind of like wifed off, and I'm just there on my own. And there's been, like I say, there's been times, obviously, even like YouTube, it's a grind. Like none of my other friends weren't really on that type of stuff. I'm the only person doing it on my own. So there is definitely times where you do feel alone, but like you have to then be comfortable
to push through it.
With that, push through that. Know what you can do, what are your kind of vices. Try and create healthy vices rather than unhealthy vices.
I completely agree, and as I said to you earlier, it takes a big man to be on your grind and to know yourself and say, I want to do this. All your boys are with girls. Oh, I'm gonna go with any next 5 out of 10 just so I can fit in. No. Do you understand? As you get older, of course, we're both at that stage where we're comfy in our own skin. Yeah. In terms of relationships, I can look at myself and say, yeah, I've only been in one whole relationship. I'm gonna madness for you lot one day. Alone podcast as well. And I'll tell you a few things about that. That would definitely be interesting. But I'm at the stage where I feel like, I mean, you can obviously jump in, but I feel like relationships are somewhat like complacency, kind of comfortability. I feel like adversity causes growth, right? Unpleasant situations, difficult, struggle, being alone, there's times at time, cool, we agree on that. I feel like if I was, they say you give a man constant sex and a decent wage, you see how relaxed and how their standards drop. I'm not at that stage in my life where I don't even want to even really get to that stage where I'm not pushing to become better every single day. What do you say on that? Maybe a complacency aspect as well? You haven't found the right woman to...
100%. I think choosing the right woman... So I can't speak now. Choosing the right woman is like such a massive thing. Like, I feel like a lot of the reason why people get complacent, they get comfortable, is because I think about sometimes like going into a relationship, kind of what I want to go into one is like the worst case scenario for me would be like just get someone kind of happy, like kind of happy with who I am, and then like they just want to sit at home, kind of watch Netflix, chill in bed, not want to do much, like takeaways, and like that's not something for me that doesn't really work because of where I'm trying to get to and kind of what I believe for myself and the goals. So the goal is to try and find the person who's going to best suit kind of what you want.
Best suit. I mean, it's important for them to look nice and attractive, everything, but what makes a relationship last is that person that's going to be there for the difficult times and also to push you to become better, right? Imagine you're with a girl now and she's like, yeah, as you said, don't go to gym or don't go and film a video, like, stay with me.
You want someone who's going to push you. Like, the worst thing for me would be someone who, like,
limits
they get with
you.
Me, they, like, know what I do, know what I'm about. But then like, I didn't really like his YouTube videos. I didn't really like when he does
try and change you.
They try and change you. Like, whereas like I want someone who's kind of like who's going to be kind of passionate, wants to push me. I hopefully I can like push them in the right direction. Like, so to me, definitely the right girls are out there, but obviously you can choose the wrong ones. And
they accept like where you are now, and they're happy with getting into a relationship with you at that version, right?
Yeah.
But they also can see the vision of
You want
Lyndon's going this path, and I'm gonna support him and push him. No matter if I don't agree with it. Like,
obviously, it's my job to sell the potential. It's all like we're all like salesmen, pretty much. Like, trying to go to the right bidder.
Yeah,
but
completely agree. And I think a thing about attraction as well. Like, people, especially guys, lose the fact that the fact in the first place why the woman's attracted to you. That she's attracted to you because you're on your grind, because you're doing your own thing, because you've got a lot of things. You have a interesting lifestyle. You're fully focused on yourself. If you think about it now, if I stop doing all of that, just because I'm with someone, I'm comfy, the attraction is naturally gonna fall. I mean, women will admit it or not, but over time they're like, oh, what, my man's not really creating a lifestyle for himself anymore. He wasn't as goal oriented. He's not going to the gym as much.
Yeah.
Naturally, you're gonna fall. So by trying to cater for her needs, I think it's just all moderation. What do you think? Balance, right?
I think like in a relationship, you need to be like kind of as good apart as you are together.
Completely
like,
agree.
Together should like boost you both rather than it be like, oh yeah, you can't be dependent on them. Interdependence obviously when you can both like you use each other, but you don't need each other.
Completely agree with that.
Rather than
Completely
people,
agree.
They get a relationship and they're literally dependent on the other. The girl will do literally everything for them.
Completely agree. I mean, companionship's obviously important when you come together, but you need to be comfy by yourself, right? I mean, we can track back a bit on knowing yourself and everything. You know, at a stage of your life where you know yourself. I mean, maybe the girls you got involved with before, do you not think like you knew yourself enough, or maybe they didn't know themselves? Because if I look at myself, majority of people aren't like us two. You have to understand that, Lyndon.
Yeah.
Like, they're not comfy in their own skin. They don't know themselves. A lot of insecurities, and I see it like, cool, I need my woman to be comfy in herself and with her vision and what she wants from life. It doesn't matter if she's a woman and she can cut corners because she's pretty beautiful. Like, she needs to still put the work in and get where she wants to go. That's from my experience. The majority of people, maybe 80-90%, I'm not judging, people progress at their own rate. They don't know themselves. They're not comfy in their own skin. What's your take on that?
One thing I will say is it's definitely something I've got a lot better with as time's passed. If you spoke to if I spoke to my 18-year-old self, I thought I knew myself.
I completely agree with myself as well. Exactly the same. I'm going to jump in after. Tell me more.
100%. But then life kind of humbles you. You go through kind of twists and turns, and you learn. You kind of every year you're kind of picking up stuff. You're like, this is more towards like my end goals, more where I want to be. Like, especially like saying, even relating back to like the girls subject. I remember going out with the lads and like there'd be like certain girls where like lads like, oh, you should get on her, you should try that, and I'm like, I'm not really feeling it, like it's not really my type of person. But then like because you're with the lads and you want to like, oh yeah, you want their approval, and, like,
yeah, you're just gonna do it.
You realise that like literally that can literally drive people, especially at that age. Whereas like when you know yourself now, I know kind of personality that I am and
what you want as well, right?
Yeah, man.
So are you just waiting for the person that gives you everything you want? You're not someone to just jump into anything like that.
I wouldn't just jump into anything, but one thing I will say is if I see someone and I think they're like absolutely sensational, I'm gonna give it a go. Like,
I mean, and we can link back to that in a minute about the rejection thing, regret of a rejection. I just want to quickly go back to the loneliness. Why do you think we have a epidemic when it comes to loneliness? When it comes to people not being comfortable by themselves, where do you think this stimulates from? I mean, I'll let you jump in. My take is, I've seen a lot of things. I've done a lot of research into this because I thought it was so interesting. We as humans, you know, from caveman ages, we were more likely to survive as a unit, as a family, as having a support system, right? A woman can look after the kids and carry the offspring. A man can go and hunt. Let's just say traditional roles like that. Got supporting figures, maybe grandma for kids to bond with, certain things like that. I feel like when you're obviously alone, say you're an outcast, research has shown obviously you're more likely to die because you haven't got a support system. Predators, you know, back in the day, can't fend for yourself, put less food, everything. That's less likely to get passed on now as a thing. You see, humans have learned from evolution that, oh, I can't be alone or I'm more likely to die. I have to be with someone. I have to be involved with someone. And we're wired the same as we were from caveman ages, right?
Yeah.
So that's still there. People need to understand that that's still there, and that's not a bad thing. It's a bad thing when you lose yourself and your goals and aspirations just to have someone there. You're acting in desperation. rather than something that will be positive. When you act in desperation and you say,
Desperation isn't attractive.
sure, as every girl knows, those needy guys in your DMs, you don't like any of them.
In the club, we know these people.
You don't like those type of people, because when you're needy and you need someone there in a vulnerable state, not someone to add to your life positively, but just to have someone there, you might not pick the right person to be there. And normally, most times, that's not the right person. And what happened? They affect you negatively.
Yeah.
Spiral, we've seen a lot of things. Well, what's your take on that? Like the survival aspect? It makes sense, right?
Well, I think one of the main things is literally the fact that in terms of this world, obviously with social media and everything, and the way kind of things have advanced in terms of kind of like psychology, like the laws and everything. Like, the world is a lot more like it's a lot more individual based. Like in terms of before, like surviving and stuff, it'd be a lot more kind of coming together as like people, creating like kind of families.
Yeah, the
now,
scale of it as well, right?
So,
yeah, the scale of it, right? Obviously, social media, everything's connected worldwide, but in caveman age, you have your own, your own tribe. Yeah.
Like whereas now it's like it's a crazy place, because obviously like people don't really need each other. Like you can function as like a single person. Maybe not in London, because London's like man expensive. But in most places you can pretty comfortably like survive on your own. And then obviously when you're in your own world, you kind of got your own people. Like you're not really going to you're not really interacting. You're not really going to like football or clubbing or wherever you meet people. You're not really finding those connections.
Yeah,
and it's very easy just to like you can just live on your ones. And like say you just people can just like smoke,
I completely agree. I think if you look at it like social media is meant to connect us all, but most people feel as lonely as ever. Like chronic loneliness, and I have some stats from the top of my head, twice as bad as obesity, and I think it's the equivalent. Chronic loneliness is as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Like that's crazy. When I found out, I was like, wow, like loneliness can actually kill you. Like it can actually affect you, you know. And so you're not a bad person for. We all seek intimacy, whether it's sexual intimacy or friendship intimacy. That when we know there's good people in our lives that are uplifting each other and everything, we will seek that. Of course, me, I'm such a sociable person. You as well, because you said you were speaking to everyone. We like to speak to people. We like to embrace ourselves in different experiences. But to understand that loneliness can actually kill you is obviously quite a scary thing. I just feel like people need to understand that we have to use it as a positive, and not just go with anyone or do anything just to have someone there.
100%.
What do you say about that?
I think one thing as well is like one thing that probably definitely needs to happen is obviously when you kind of get used to being around yourself. Like some people set their standards like so high that it's hard for people to come in, and if they don't meet the standards, they just cut them off. Yeah. Whereas like what actually needs to happen is like people need to just be able to like kind of just relax a bit more. Like
good words. Yeah.
Not kind of just let like people in, give people a chance, like because it's one of those things where like you're gonna get to like an older age. And like when people are just alone, you're gonna regret not letting someone in.
Definitely,
and being able to grow with someone.
Definitely. The idea of like closing people off. You know, people are like, oh, I've been hurt from these people, or maybe had a bad experience. Like, I think it's important for people to try and put that in a box and say not everyone's like that, and also understand that like, oh, people are like, oh, I can do everything by myself. I don't need anyone. That's really good that you're independent and you're focused on yourself, but you can't. You need your support system. You need those friends around you.
It's a big thing, man.
If you want to fix your life today or have access to my free self-improvement guide, all links will be down below. If you also like one-on-one coaching sessions or like to learn from my Skool share classes, all links down below.